Are you feeling alone on the motherhood journey? Well, introducing the Mothering Journal. This is a monthly magazine subscription that is delivered straight to your mailbox and is filled with beautiful stories for moms by moms. This is geared towards every stage of the motherhood journey, from infertility all the way through the empty nesters. If you would like your own subscription of this beautiful magazine, go to themotheringjournal.com or check the description for more details. Hello, and welcome back to the Burnt Pancakes podcast. I am your host, Katie Fensky, and I am so glad I am here to remind you that everyone burns their first pancake. We are officially 2 weeks into summer. So, how are you all doing? I can pleasantly say that this summer is off to a better start than I expected. Number one, my kids are a little bit older, so that is definitely helping. We're kind of past the have to be home for nap stage. And we've kind of incorporated some camps with downtime time at home. And luckily, the downtime has not felt too crazy. We're only 2 weeks in, so I don't want to toot my horn too soon, but it's feeling pretty good. In terms of the podcast, recording is almost impossible with my kids home. It is so hard to sneak away that I decided this summer is going to be slightly different. I am still going to come out with a weekly podcast. I love my Friday Conversations, but I'm going to scale back a little bit on my interview podcast and come out with some more solo podcasts. I absolutely love interviews. I love chatting with moms. I get off and I just feel so filled up. Like that fills my cup. But it's also hard to coordinate schedules and block off an hour of my time. My kids cannot entertain themselves for an hour. So I'm going to sneak away and do some summer solo snippets where I'm just going to kind of share what's going on in Katie's brain. So I hope you enjoy these. In September, we will be back to our regular Momversation interviews. But for now, get to know me this summer. So the topic of today's podcast is going to be the things no one warned me about when having boys. So I do have 3 boys. So let's see, Ronan is 10, Jet is almost 7, and Maverick is about 4.5. If you would have told me years ago, you're going to end up with 3 boys, I would have paid money. I would have paid millions of dollars to go, no, you are incorrect. That is not happening. My husband and I always said we were going to have a boy and a girl. So we were going to have one of each. Somehow I ended up with 3 boys, which now in these shoes right now, I can say has been the greatest blessing. I love being a boy mom. I think this is exactly what I was meant to have, but it did come as quite a surprise to me originally. But one of the things that kind of comes up is you're just not prepared to have boys. Like I have an older sister, so I was raised with girls only. There are so many aspects of boy mom life and having boys that is just foreign to me. So I'm going to share some of these things that I was not prepared for, in hopes that other boy moms kind of feel some connection. If you're a girl mom, this is very important to listen to, because if you see us frazzled boy moms, you'll know why. So, as I was driving or in the shower, I started thinking about things that have come up in boy mom life, and I started making notes. So I'm just going to go through my notes of things that have come up that I did not know about being a boy mom, or I was not prepared for. So number one, the world of Legos. Legos are literally in every corner of our house. We actually have a back room in our house. We call it the sunroom. It's like a built on, added on little extension room. There's a door frame that we have concrete floors in that room, and there's like a tiny little gap, and there are Legos all in there, and we, no joke, can't get them out. So when I say they're all over my house, they are all over my house. I found them in my closet before. My boys do love Legos, so I'm like highly encouraging of that, because I do like this toy, but they are everywhere. And I know like there's lots of jokes about stepping on Legos. They hurt like heck, and I have stepped on plenty of them. My rule of thumb now, if I find Legos on the ground, they go in the trash. I just don't have any patience for them. My boys are, well, I would say my oldest, who was the first one to get into Legos. He's in the camp of I build the Lego set and it is broken to pieces within 5 minutes of building it. And then those pieces never make it back together. And then they're thrown into our Lego mix box. I didn't think that was a thing. I thought you build your Lego, you put it on a shelf and you don't touch it. Well, that's not how he operates. Up until this year, it was like he would half build it and then just be done. And then we'd have all these random pieces everywhere. A couple years ago, my husband said, "Hey, we need to get like a bin to put all these Legos in." And I was thinking like a shoebox type thing. So we go to Target. I'm looking at these shoe boxes and he comes back with this giant, like garage size tub, storage tub. And he's like, no, 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 something like this. And I'm like, there is no way we're going to have that many Legos. Well, guess what? It filled up within like 6 months and it's just a disaster. But the boys love it. I love the creativity with it. That's great. I never really knew how much Legos cost. My boys love the kits. My middle is very different. He is I will build something, then mom take it apart, and then I'll build it again. Like he's very good at keeping it together and loves the building part of it. So this summer, actually, I took the kids there's a local store. If you have it in your area, it's fabulous. It's called Bricks and Minifigs, where they sell like used kits, like you can build your own minifig. But of course, when we went there, my kids wanted like the new sets, the sets that hadn't been opened yet. So I did get them the one that probably helped day one of summer because they probably spent 2 to 3 hours just doing Legos, and that was heaven. I spent more money than I expected on Legos, but I do feel like it was worth the cost because it gave me 3 hours of, oh my God, I can sit down and read my book. I can clean the bathroom. I can go to the bathroom without them knocking on the door. So it was very pleasant, but it was quite expensive. I was not aware of how much Lego sets cost. And of course, they see like the $130 set and they're like, I want that one. I'm like, put that on your birthday list, kids. So Legos are everywhere in our house, but they're fun. They are something I did not play with as a kid. I didn't really do Legos. So the fact that this is like a new toy to me, it's very interesting. It's good for my boys, bad for my organization, bad for my house cleanliness, bad for my feet, but also fun for them. Okay, moving on. Oh, one last thing though about Legos is we took our kids to Legoland last year. It was for Maverick's 4th birthday, and we actually stayed in the hotel. And I, as a boy mom, was pleasantly surprised about number one, how cool the hotel was for kids. How it was very much designed for kids, but with parents in mind. There were all these like play areas in the hotel right next to the bar so that you could like have a drink, be watching your kids. Very fun. The room was so cool. We stayed in a pirate themed room. So they had like pirate bunk beds that actually had room for 3 kids. So there was like a pull-out cot. So totally family friendly. At one point, we were in bed. I looked over at my husband and I was like, did you ever think we'd be sleeping in a pirate ship on our vacation? That was quite the treat. But I was like, here we are. We're parents. This is what we do. We pay good money to stay in a pirate ship. But super fun. Legoland, 10 out of 10 recommend. There was something for every age. My boys loved it. Really, really cool. So if you live near Legoland, definitely go check that out if you have boys or girls. I think either one would like it. Okay, another thing that I didn't realize about boy mom life was the noise level. Boys are so loud. And I'm talking like 6:30 in the morning loud until they're asleep at night loud. Oh gosh, I don't know what it is. Like one is chasing the other one's screaming. In the car, they're loud nonstop. It just never stops. My husband and I like say all the time, we can't even hear ourselves think. And that is literal. Like I cannot think because they are so noisy. So if you have boys, check your hearing because it has probably blown. Let's see. Another thing about boys that I was not prepared for was just how much they move. Not only are they loud, but they never stop moving. I see moms with like little baby girls, and the little girls will just sit on their lap and just sit there for, God, where was I? I was somewhere just a few months ago with another baby. Someone had a baby. I can't even remember who it was, but I remember just staring at her thinking, your baby's still on your lap. It's been like 20 minutes and your baby is just sitting there. Like my boys, even from like infant stage, would be on my lap and just like wiggle, 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 spinning around, not stopping. Um, I I don't know what it is. They just don't stop moving. I feel really bad as a teacher. I had all those boys in my class and I would make them like sit down and do a journal and then do quiet reading time. I'm like, oh my God, those boys must have been dying having to sit so long. They're so fidgety. I did a music class with my oldest son. He was probably, let's see, he was at least crawling by that. I think he was like 9 months, maybe, or even 6 months. 6 months until like we did it for almost a year. Yeah, we did it for a year. So he started walking at that point. And all the babies at that class were within like a month or two of the same birthday. So they were all very close in age. My son, like everyone else's baby, would sit on their lap and do the little music class. My son would take off and like hide behind the curtains. It was at another mom's house. And then, like, no joke, the entire class just moving and moving and moving and not sitting still. And I would look at some of these other moms, like with the sweet little girls, and they would just like sit there and listen to the music. And mine was like, I couldn't find them half the time. So they're always moving. Even when they're like sitting on the couch watching a show, they're constantly moving and fidgeting. So I think I need to get them out and run them more because it's just nonstop. Okay, another thing that I was definitely not prepared for, especially growing up in a house with girls, was that guns come very natural to boys. So I'm not a mom that's like, no, we can't have Nerf guns. No, we can't have this. But I'm also not the kind of mom that's like, here, let's play army and like making it a thing. But my boys from day one, without being taught this stuff, would do guns. So my oldest son, Ronan, was probably, I don't know, maybe 3 years old. I think he was preschool age, 3 or 4. And we were having lunch one day and he had a square cheese and he took a bite of it. And then he picked it up and went, Mom, look, it's a cheese gun. And like pretended to shoot the cheese gun because it was like in the shape of kind of a gun. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, I have not even like played guns with him. And he is creating a gun out of his cheese square. Sticks are guns. Our fingers are guns. Like everything. And no matter how much I say, like, oh, guns hurt people, it's no, they just naturally are gravitated to it. I know at my kids' preschool, they were not allowed to play guns, and they would just tell them, like, that's what they would say, guns hurt people, so we're not going to play that. And I always just tell my boys, you can play guns at home, we're not going to play them at school. But it's just in them to want to play. And I don't make them stop when we're at home, but it is a little bit unnerving when you see a little boy saying, like pretending to play guns and saying, Mom, I'm going to shoot you. And you're just like, in today's world, like that just feels off. That doesn't feel right. So I am open with my boys, especially my son, my oldest son. He was pretending to shoot in the car. And I was telling him, I'm like, there have been mass shootings before. People are sensitive to that. So we just need to make sure we're playing in a place that is more of a play situation. So, but I mean, I cannot stop it. I cannot stop them from wanting to play guns. We do have Nerf guns. We have, you know, laser tag guns. Um, it's something that just seems like boys are born with. And I'm not trying to stop it, but I am trying to make them aware of what is happening in our world today. Okay, another thing. This is one of my favorite things about being a boy mom. I did not know how much I was going to love their sports and watching them play sports. So growing up, I played sports. I did softball when I was in middle school because all my friends did, and I wanted to hang out with my friends. Hated softball, but I loved hanging out with my friends. In high school, I played basketball, kind of the same thing. I did it more for the social aspect, not necessarily the love of basketball. In college, I was a rower. Um, so I've always like been interested in sports, and I was a big fan of going to high school sports games, but I had boys, and then I think we started Ronan in like little classes, sports classes when he was maybe 3 or 4, but he didn't actually start like organized sports until 5. He did T-ball. We tried soccer that year. And then when he was 7, he started tackle football. So basically, baseball and football has kind of been our 2 seasons since he was 5. So in the spring, we played baseball, Little League. This year, Jet was also in it. So we were kind of in the double team, double practices. Um, Maverick's going to start T-ball next year. So I am going to live at the baseball field in the spring. I think I'm just going to bring a tent and set myself up there because we will never leave that field. We're gearing up for another tackle football season. So my oldest is going to play 10U. I am the lucky one that gets to be team mom for that team. My husband coaches. But I did not realize how much fun I would have being at the games, meeting my friends there, um, cheering on my kid. It is my favorite. So Saturdays are always football games. I count down to Saturday. I just like, if it's Wednesday, I'm like, sweet, it's almost the weekend. I can't wait for our football game. Baseball games are Saturdays and also during the week. It's just my favorite thing. I love watching them play. I am like totally in. My best friend liked to sit in the outfield, which sounds so pleasant to like put your blanket out on the grass, go watch, but I have to be like in the bleachers as close as I can get. I just need to be in the action. My husband taught me a couple years ago that I maybe talk too much during the games. Not only chit chat, but like, hey, Katie, when Ronan's pitching, don't say anything. Like, you don't need to coach him. I'm like, okay. So I really worked on keeping my comments down, but I still can't help it. When he hits the ball, I like every time scream, run, go. But it's so fun. I love it. And this made me feel like now I know why I'm a boy mom, because I know girls play sports too. And if I had girls, they would probably be in something that I could cheer for them. But I am so glad I have boys to be able to go to the field with. Um, Ronan's only, let's see, he has 2 years left of Little League and then he'll age out. And my thought was, oh, thank God I have more coming up because I am not ready to be done with Little League yet. I still have Jet and then I have Maverick, and oh, it's so fun. It's great. It's a busy schedule. You're taking kids all over the place. You're at the field all day, but there is really no place I'd rather be. I just cannot get enough of it. Love it, love it. Okay, let's see. What else about boys? Didn't prepare myself for how different boys could each be. So what I mean by that is I had Ronan, and that was kind of like my standard for like, this is what boy is. I just kind of thought like, okay, Ronan is the bar, I guess you'd say. Like he is super active, almost never cries, in the sense of like he would eat it really hard at the playground and just get back up and be like, I'm okay, and just keep playing. And people would look at me like, how is he okay? I'm like, I don't know. He just doesn't cry about stuff. He's very tough. Um, his attention span is almost 0. His preschool teachers would tell me, oh, it's so interesting that he'll like start an activity and then jump to the next one and then go to another one, and just bounce around. I'm like, yeah, that's how he is at home. And it's driving me crazy, but isn't that what boy is? And then Jet came around, my middle, and he cries when you tap him on the shoulder, and he's so sensitive. To me, it seems like he cries more when like his heart is hurt, his feelings are hurt, which is not how Ronan was at all. So like I thought I figured out this whole parenting thing with boys from Ronan, and then Jet comes along and I'm like, oh, you are so different. Like, do I comfort you? You're crying. Do I need to tell you toughen up, kid? I don't know. Like it was just a very different boy experience. I would say Maverick's kind of a mix of both. Um, but it's so different to have one that's like toughy tough, and then one that's like super sensitive. And I have to figure out how to be the right mom for both of them. So it's very interesting. Also, what's so weird is Ronan is like totally afraid of roller coasters, doesn't want to go on fast rides. We went to a water park last year. We waited in line forever to get to the top of this like water slide, like tunnel, like you go inside a tunnel on a big, like 4-person raft. We get up there, Jet's like stoked. He's super excited. Ronan sees it and like would not even get in the raft. And he said, I'm going to meet you at the bottom. I'm walking all the way down. And he did it. He was like, I'm not doing it, Mom. I'm too scared. Jet is all for it. He went on the roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm well before Ronan even attempted it. He's just like a daredevil, but yet my sensitive one. They're making me work so hard to be a mom. I just don't get it. Yeah, Jet's the daredevil, super sensitive. Ronan, tough guy, doesn't ever seem to get hurt, but is deathly afraid. He's also afraid of the climbing gym. So he's gotten better at it. But Jet was like, Mom, look, I'm all the way at the top when he was like 5. And Ronan, here he is like 9, like, I'm good enough. This is as far as I want to go. So just when you have one figured out, you have another one and they totally throw you for a loop. So that's been very interesting. Okay, another thing is, oh my gosh, I have a visitor on my podcast. So how long did we make it? Maybe 15 minutes in before company came in. Hey, dinosaur, Maverick, I'm recording something. Can you wait till I'm done? Say yes, Mom. I'll be out. Okay, Adominus Rex, please wait. Thank you. Okay, this is why over the summer, we're going to stick with short podcasts. Okay, so last thing I was going to say about boys is, holy moly, the things that come out of their mouths that I just don't understand. So number one, just the words that come out. I'm sure if you have preteens, teens, the skibbity toilet, all of that. And it just like blurts out. Like Ronan is very much like this, where he's doing his homework and just starts making random noises like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And you're like, oh, do you realize you're making these noises? What is going on here? Just cannot control it. Bruh is coming out of their mouths a lot. I have to remind them, I'm not your bruh, I'm your mom. You can call me mommy if you want, but not bruh. Another thing is just the weird stuff that comes out of their mouth. The other day, I walked into the room and I overheard, I think it was Jet saying, Alexa, how many butts did a dinosaur have? And she actually came up with an answer. She said 1. But I was like, why are we even thinking to ask this? Like, where is this coming from? I don't get you boys. Then later in the car, no, I think we were at a restaurant. Yes, this was at a restaurant. I heard Rona go, hey, Jet, can you make your butt cheeks jiggle? Can you make them move? And then, of course, he said, yeah, like this. And he goes, no, you're not doing that. And then it ended up in being a fight. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Yes, I can. And I just sat there. At least we were outside and no one was around us. But I sat there and I was like, how is this my life? How did I end up surrounded by these 3 boys? I don't understand. But I also feel like it is my greatest blessing to have these crazy boys around me. They're teaching me something new every day, maybe things I don't want to know, but they are teaching it to me and I do love it. So if you are a boy mom out there, I hope you felt a little bit at home on this podcast. If you are a girl mom, at least now you can say, oh, now I know why you boy moms look the way you look, because they're throwing you for a lot. So that is the end of my snippet. My kids are looking at me saying they want more snacks, so I've got to wrap this up. But I will be back next week for another momversation, another short little snippet to help you get through this summer and to remind you that everyone burns their first pancake. So see you next week.